Do you ever look around your step family sometimes and wonder to yourself why you can't all just get along? I know, the thought has crossed my mind too, and that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm Cameron. I spent years building my career and creating a life I loved. And when my Prince Charming finally showed up, he had 4 kids in tow. Fast forward through lots of mistakes made and lessons learned, step family life was much more complicated than I realized. If you're looking for help with blended family life, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Stepmom Diaries, where we keep it real as we dish about all the things. This is your weekly dose of blended family inspiration and encouragement. You're not the wicked stepmother, so let me help you find your fairy tale ending. Come on, let's do this. Hey there, and welcome. We talk week after week on this podcast about all the challenges that come with blended family life, and there are plenty. But a big one that we haven't tackled yet is how to handle stepkids who don't like you or who won't treat you with respect. This is a tough one. Having a stepchild who doesn't like you can truly make blended life difficult on the daily. But remember, kids' emotions are oftentimes just as complicated as adult feelings. And when their parents split up, those emotions can be a real roller coaster for them. The problem is kids' brains aren't fully developed until they're in their mid-20s, right? So they literally don't have the tool set to deal with all of those complicated emotions. So what happens? They take those feelings out on their step-parent, who frankly is often the easiest target. It is much easier to take things out on stepmom than it is on their biological parent. So if your stepchildren are hostile towards you, or if you're having a hard time with them, there are a few ways you can handle it, and we're going to go over some of this today. First of all, I want you to remember that it's probably not you, right? I know that's hard to understand when it's all being directed at you. But the fact is, your stepchild may have a lot of conflicting emotions. And if they don't like you, or if they're being nasty to you, it may not be about you at all. They may feel a torn loyalty between you and your spouse's ex, especially if it's a high conflict situation. They may also be holding on to some anger about their parents splitting up. They may resent that they have zero control over all of these big things happening in their lives. Their parents splitting up, their parent getting remarried. And because those brains aren't fully developed, they actually may not understand any of those feelings at all. They may actually think that they're angry at you, but that may not be the case. It may be something totally different, and it's getting taken out on you. So just remember that in a lot of cases, it may not actually be about you at all. The next thing I want you to remember is to be patient. Now, this is hard, I know, but blended families take an average of 7 years to fully form. That is a long time, right? And patience can be really difficult. But if you can take the long view and a lot of deep breaths, right, you'll allow the child to feel safe, to fully experience their emotions, whatever that may look like. If they don't feel pressured to feel a certain way about you, then maybe they'll relax and figure out exactly what their emotions are. Now, this doesn't mean that they'll for sure change their mind about you. But even if they never do, even if they always think that they don't like you, the grace that you can extend to them by being patient and kind of laying off the pressure may mean that you can settle into a civil and respectful relationship. And, sometimes that's the best it's going to get, right? I was actually talking recently to a stepmom from my private stepmom group on Facebook, which is the same name as this podcast, the Stepmom Diaries. I'll link to it in the show notes if you're a stepmom and want to join. But I was talking to her recently, and she was expressing to me how hurt she felt by the way her stepchild treated her. And this is real stuff. I mean, it happens with so many step-parents and so many stepmoms that they feel like their kids just treat them terribly and it hurts their feelings, right? Patience doesn't mean you're not going to feel that hurt. It doesn't mean that you're not going to feel stung by those nasty comments or, intentional hurtful actions from your stepkids. And trust me, I have been there, friend. I've been called every name in the book. And when I say every name in the book, I mean, I'm just telling you, kids' vocabularies these days are so much more expansive than when I was growing up. I'm just saying. But anyway, in all seriousness, patience means knowing that you're doing all you can without putting pressure on the child. And it means that you have hope that things may just get better in the future, because it really may. You're playing the long game here. I also want you to think about setting some boundaries. Regardless of your stepchild's feelings towards you, you do not have to be their emotional punching bag. You do not have to absorb their anger, their disrespect, or even their abuse. And I know I've said this before, but boundaries are a very good thing. They help you take care of your needs. And that's what I'm here for, is to help you take care of your needs. It's really important to take a minute and figure out the boundaries that you need in order to operate at your best, especially in a situation where the kids aren't treating you respectfully or don't like you. So what does that look like where the kids are concerned? Well, one boundary is that you won't tolerate being treated with disrespect, right? If you give the kids the freedom to say, hey, it's okay if you don't like me, but you have to treat me with respect, that allows them to feel what they're feeling. And then you can kind of see how that plays out, right? So if one of the kids tells you to, F off, and yes, that has happened to me, what's the consequence? And I don't mean the consequence to the child. We've talked about this before. Leave the discipline to your spouse right now, especially if you and the child don't get along. I mean, what are the consequences for you? What are your actions if you're disrespected, if you're treated poorly? Do you maybe limit your exposure to the child for a hot second? Do you take a step back until tempers cool? Give yourself permission to do what you need to do. Give yourself permission to step back from the situation if you need to. It's okay. If the emotional temperature is increasing, if it's rising, excuse yourself. Go to the other room, or, take a walk, or go meet up with friends, or escape for a few hours. Give yourself the permission to address your needs. That's what boundaries are all about. Boundaries are about keeping you in an emotional safe space. Give yourself the permission to do that, right? This next one is, I think, maybe the most important part of handling a stepchild who doesn't like you. And that is to talk to your partner. And I mean communicate with your spouse about this. Ask for their support. Let them know how you're feeling. Encourage them not to push the kids too hard to like you. If they pressure the kids to accept you, it could result in them digging in even more. Give them the space to decide what their feelings are towards you. But you've got to talk to your partner about it. I guarantee your partner doesn't want you to be miserable. Your partner doesn't want you to be blaming yourself for how the kids feel about you. Your partner doesn't want the kids to be treating you badly. So talk to them about it. Ask for their support. Now, the things that they can do, and it is important that they don't pressure the kids to feel a certain way about you, but what they can do is convey to the kids that their feelings are valid. They are totally entitled to their opinion, but they have to treat you with civility. They have to treat you with respect, just like they would the other adults in their lives. And let's just set that as the floor here, right? Regardless of how they feel about you or how they feel about, the situation with a new blended family or whatever, they need to be respectful. They need to be civil. They don't have to be your best friend. They don't have to see you as a best friend. They don't even have to see you as a buddy. They don't have to see you as a parent, but they need to treat you at least as good as they would treat a teacher or a babysitter. And boundaries here, you don't have to tolerate it if they're not. Trust me, I've already talked about how, kids today have expansive vocabularies, right? I mean, they know things that I did not know until high school or like some cases in college. Seriously, it's kind of amazing in a crazy, sort of depressing way, right? But the bottom line is you don't have to tolerate a stream of vile language that's directed at you. You don't have to tolerate, yelling or disrespect. So how do you handle it in the moment? Well, you've got to calm down. You need to take a breath and, you need to say to the child, I'm not going to accept being spoken to that way. I'm going to step away now so everyone can cool down. And then you walk away and you hope that cooler heads will eventually prevail and you'll hear an apology. But you may not, and you need to be prepared for that too, right? This is playing the long game, and I know I keep saying that. This is playing the long game. The patience is a real thing. Talking to your partner is a real thing. These are all important to keeping your sanity in these situations. Hey, stepmom, do you wish you could unlock the secret to handling all that blended family life throws at you? Let's be real, every family's different and has its own struggles. But if you give me 6 weeks, I will give you the tools you need to love your stepmom life. In just 6 weeks, I will help you learn to deal with your partner's ex with confidence, to understand your role as a stepmom, to learn what it is your stepchildren are really looking for and how to communicate with them, to know that you and your partner are on the same page, and to reduce your daily stress and reclaim time for yourself. The Blended Family Formula is a one-of-a-kind course just for stepmoms, designed to help you learn the skills and the strategies to confidently tackle all of your stepmom challenges. You deserve to live out your purpose as a stepmom, and the people who depend on you deserve to get you at your best. If you are a stepmom wondering how to overcome the overwhelm as you feel like you're failing just a little bit at everything, or if you feel guilty for wanting more, this is an opportunity that I promise you will not want to miss. Head over to thiscustomlife.com/BFF to get on the waitlist now. So the last thing that I want to talk to you about, and there's a reason that I put this last, is I want you to think about why your stepkids are treating you this way, why they're acting out against you or don't like you. We don't always get to know the why. I mean, we've talked about, kids' brains are not quite as developed, and sometimes these complicated emotions and situations really get the best of them and they don't even know why, right? But it's worth taking a look at, their behavior and trying to consider what the cause might be. And when you do this, I would ask you to try and look at things from their point of view. What is it they may be going through? What is it they may need, right? And when you do that, look at yourself from their point of view too. Think about whether you have done anything, whether intentional or unintentional, that maybe hasn't helped matters with them or has, complicated their ability to develop a good relationship with you. For example, did you do everything that you could when you became a stepmom to bond with your stepchild? I've actually got a great piece on the site about how to do this, how to bond with your stepchild. And I've got a fantastic freebie with a ton of ideas for how you can do this. So I'll put both in the show links. But establishing that bond early on can help on a lot of different levels here. First of all, it's easier for kids to take out their emotions on their step-parent because, frankly, it's a new person, somebody that they haven't known since birth. And even if you've been in the picture for a couple of years, if you're newly married or newly settled down together, you're still not a parent that they have had around since birth. They haven't established like that memory bank, we'll call it for lack of a better word, of good memories that can offset any bad instances that happen. Any, if you're yelling at them and they get upset, when a parent does it, and when a parent disciplines them, they don't hate the parent forever, usually, right? They don't hate the parent forever because they've got a whole lifetime of good memories banked up in their memory bank. that they can rely on. They know that their parent is not the sum of getting angry at them that one time. They don't necessarily have that with you. So, if you come in and hardcore discipline and they don't have that memory bank of good memories, they may think that that's just who you are, right? So, bonding with your stepchild is where you spend time establishing that memory bank of good memories. So I'm not going to go into all the hows of bonding here. We'll save that for another episode, but it is important to get that one-on-one, really unforced time with your stepkids so that you can build up that bank of memories for them. And the key is unforced, right? You don't want to pressure them to go spend time with you one-on-one, because that's going to pressure them on how to feel, and they could end up digging in harder. It needs to be kind of a low pressure, getting to know you kind of thing. And you may be in a situation where the relationship is bad enough right now that that's not possible. And that's okay. Wait until it is, right? So thinking more about the why, this is where I want to ask you to take a look inside. Are there any mistakes you've made that could have contributed to your stepkids' attitude or their feelings towards you? Now, I want you to understand, I am not saying that you're to blame at all. And especially if they're disrespecting you. I mean, let's be clear, there's no reason for that, even if they don't like you. But I want you to look at your actions, your behavior, and think about anything that you may have contributed, even if it was completely unintentional. And this is more of where I want you to look at yourself from their point of view, right? I'll tell you, and I've said this before on other episodes, one of my biggest mistakes early on was trying to be a full-on parent, like including setting rules and disciplining. And this is so common. You're coming into this partnership, you want to be a full, real partner to your spouse. You want to be a parent on equal footing. So you want to do all the parent things, right? And that's, going to sporting events and doctor's appointments and school appointments and, the disciplining and the enforcing the rules. Yeah, it just doesn't work. I'm here to tell you, until you have that bond with the kids, you need to be fun stepmom. Or at the very least, if you're not going to be fun stepmom, you need to not be the enforcer stepmom. Just trust me on that, right? Even if you think about the why, and if you don't see anything you could have done differently, and that's totally possible and probable in a lot of cases, if you can undertake that examination and really put yourself in their shoes, really look at yourself, look at the situation through their eyes, it'll help you empathize with that child. It'll help you see things from their perspective. And, maybe through that exercise, you do realize what's going on with them. I mean, maybe they're being manipulated at the other house. Maybe they have grandparents or a mom who's influencing them to dislike you. Maybe they have siblings, who are manipulating them. Who knows? Even if you can't put your finger on it, that is okay. It is still worth the time and effort to think about things from their point of view. It'll help you develop some empathy for them. And that is so important to developing that relationship with them. It's so important to your ability to give them the space and the freedom to develop their opinions about you. So look, there are always going to be ups and downs with your relationship with your stepchildren. Always. And it is never going to be perfect. And I hate to burst your bubble on that. I know when I entered step family life, I always talk about how I expected sort of this Norman Rockwell, Thanksgiving dinner and Christmas dinner and all the things. It is never going to be perfect. But the good news is step families are not alone in that. No family's perfect, right? So y'all know I grew up in the South. One of my favorite sayings ever is from the character Julia Sugarbaker on Designing Women. Do you remember that show? I used to love it when I was growing up. And, that probably tells you my age range. But anyway, what she says, and I love this quote, she says, "I'm saying this is the South, and we're proud of our crazy people. We don't hide them up in the attic. We bring them right down to the living room and show them off. See, no one in the South ever asks if you have crazy people in your family. They just ask what side they're on." I love that. And look, I'm not saying your stepkids are crazy. I'm not saying you're crazy or your spouse or even the ex is crazy. I'm saying that families are complicated and, we all have our family stuff. And whether you are comfortable putting it out there in the open for everybody to know about, or whether you want to deal with it completely in private, you do need to deal with it. You do need to, take to heart some of these steps. If you've got a child that's having a difficult time, or if you're having a difficult time relating to them, you do need to deal with it. Find a way to set some boundaries. Find a way, to remember that it's not always about you. Find a way to be patient. You really are playing the long game here. It may be that throughout your stepchild's teen years, you never get that relationship you want. It may be that they always dislike you through those years. But it may also be that when they're adults, when their little brains are fully formed, they come back around and, they might even acknowledge that they haven't treated you well. They might not, but they might come back around and want that relationship. So play the long game on this. Be patient. Do the right things. Be patient. Did I say be patient? But really, it is a really difficult situation. Don't let it take over your life. Be patient. Know that you're doing what you can do. Know that you are doing the right things and that you and your partner are in it together, and communicate with your partner. That's the most important thing. They want you to be happy too. And they'll do what they can to help you be happy. It's going to be hard for them to see their children treating you like this. And, they may be inclined to come down hard on them. But, encourage them to have some patience too. Like I said several times, you are in this for the long haul. You're playing the long game here. And I think if you can develop some empathy for your stepkids, you'll be able to develop that patience. You'll be able to know that you're doing all the things you can do and, let it go. It's out of your hands at that point. Give the kids the freedom to develop that relationship with you, to decide how they want to, handle it and decide how they feel. So that's all for this week. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you next time. That's it for this week. If you've enjoyed our chat, I hope you'll help spread the word. Share this episode with friends and head on over to wherever you listen to podcasts and leave me a review. And don't forget, for more great stepmom content, head on over to thiscustomlife.com and follow me on social media. Just search This Custom Life on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. Until next time, you keep being you and know that we are in this together. See you here next week.